Hi, welcome back to class. And this week we are moving on to Module 10. So this is Chapter 9 of the textbook. And this week we are going to be discussing Asian Americans, which is a very large cultural group. And, if we had more time, we could spend, weeks on this particular group alone. But for ease of the class, we have 1 week. And so I boiled it down to a few videos that get to some good points in the class and some extra material that we don't cover in the book. And so this week we are going to carry on with the Module 9 discussion. So after spring break, you had your initial posts you put down for Module 9. And you will be, of course, doing your 3 posts on 3 different days. And like I said before, make sure you try to respond to each other, and that way you're not doing, just 3 unique responses. That way you can actually have a conversation. I'd rather see those where possible. You're going to read Chapter 9 of the textbook. Then we have 3 videos that you're going to look at for the Dropbox assignment, along with an article about Vincent Chin. And we're going to watch a couple more videos on people who are cultural pivots. And so when we're looking at race and ethnicity, I'm sure you're noticing here we don't just use the raw data of quantitative analysis. We also get a little more qualitative and use people as our data. And so we're using some individual stories here to paint pictures of life in America for different ethnic groups. We're going to also post initial posts on these discussions, and about the middle of this week I will put up another assignment that you'll have a couple weeks to work on, and that's really discussing the idea of intersectionality, which I will dive deeper into probably on Wednesday or Thursday this week, and I'll give you a couple weeks to do that, but that will basically be a whole other sidebar on our list here on the side. So there will be heads up on that and an email that goes out explaining this, but you'll have a couple weeks to work on that. So what we're going to do is there's 3 short videos that you're going to watch. This one here is how the model minority myth hurts Asian American elderly. And so this looks at a case in New York City. It's a short video, about 5 minutes long, but it gets into this idea that some people actually fall victim to some racism in housing. And so this is through NBC News Asia America. So this is an interesting little story to watch. Then there's a Japanese American documentary which gets into some concepts on Japanese Americans as they come to America. So it looks at terms like issei, nisei, so just different terms on how long people have been in this country, what generation they're on, and assimilation. And then lastly, there's a video, Who is Vincent Chin, which you will tie back to this article from the New York Times. And you're going to hear about somebody that a lot of people don't hear about, and he's someone who probably should be discussed more. He's somebody who fell victim to a hate crime. But you're going to write this half-page reflections on these 3 videos. Then we have our Module 10 discussion forum. And in this, we're going to look at Grace Lee Boggs, who passed away a couple years ago. And there's 2 interviews with her through Democracy Now! So it's 2 short videos discussing with her idea of revolution. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at Grace Lee Boggs, who was Chinese American, married an African American, and has really pushed the racial discussion in different directions. So she lived in Detroit for the most of her life, and worked as an activist there, looking at how she could make some real change. So you're going to watch these interviews with her and then answer this question. And then we have George Takei, and he is discussing his personal experience where he was interned during World War II as a child, and how his family lost everything. And when they returned to Los Angeles, they had to rebuild and start all over again. And he discusses in here how he was able to find points of pride in his parents and in a military division that, at the same time that their families were locked up in internment camps, these young men were off doing a great job of defeating Nazis in the Italian Alps. And so you're going to watch this video, and you're going to see how he was inspired by that, and how this actually pivots him to try to be a better person. And you'll have your initial post doing that, and from there we'll go on. But like I said, later on this week, I will put up another lesson in here that you'll have a couple weeks to work on, looking at intersectionality. And I know that you may have discussed intersectionality in other sociology classes, as a concept that was really pioneered by Patricia Hills Collins. But we're going to go back a little bit further to Kimberly Crenshaw, who's a criminologist, who actually first coined the actual term, even though it is something that was loosely talked about in different writings, going all the way back to the 1800s. Kimberly Crenshaw was the person who gave this idea its name. Of course, Collins is the person who really advanced it in sociology, but we are going to investigate that idea a little deeper. If you have any questions, make sure you get a hold of me. Of course, I could be reached on D2L, and thank you so much.